wonderful. Welcome back to Sapphire Spider Oracle channel. If it's your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to do a reading for the full moon in Virgo here in Pisces season. Ooh, all right, Cancer. We'll start with those. I was actually just kind of shuffling, but I guess we'll take those. I'm going to start with your animal oracle card and see what spirit animal is guiding you right now for this full moon in Virgo. Hang on, there's like 10 cards that wanted to slip. Maybe there's a lot of animals. Oh, hey. Take that. All right. Cancer, this is the Minotaur, or the bull, rather. Symbolism of renewal, fertility, and growth. Bull cults were ubiquitous in ancient cultures whose devotees worshipped the beast as a supreme deity, but the bull was also a symbol of renewal, and the creature was ritually sacrificed with its blood sprinkled on the spring fields to ensure new growth. In ancient Greece, these rituals were associated with Dionysus, the Greek god of vegetation and renewal. Dionysus, who was frequently represented as a bull and sometimes as a goat, was dismembered by the Titans and subsequently resurrected. The Spanish bullfight is a vestige of the ancient bull sacrifice. The Minotaur, another deity from Greek mythology who had the head of a bull and the body of a man, is also associated with sacrifice and the cycle of renewal. The slaying of the Minotaur, the devourer of youth, restores life. And it just showed me this, and it said period. So what was coming out right as I was kind of flipping this card, that last line I read, it said, the Minotaur, the devourer of youth. That is, I've read this card several times, and today that is really sticking out. This feels like this reading may or may not be about something that took your innocence or youth from you. And you could even be like a very, mature in age person, but we all have to recognize when something took a part of us, right? Or like, and nothing ever technically leaves you, but you never are the same after some things happen to you. And it's very much referencing the story of the Minotaur. And the thing is that the king that lived in the palace with the Minotaur, he had this other region of the land give young men over for a sacrifice, and that was like what kept them at peacetime. And the young men that they would send over would go into the maze, and they'd all end up as a sacrifice to the Minotaur. And that was until Theseus comes along, right, and slays the Minotaur. And so that's the whole thing, is like literally the devourer of youth, and not necessarily though by his own desire. It was the Minotaur was trapped in that maze too. And Cancer, there's some beautiful energy coming through here about how recognizing how some people, because they get stuck in a system or a place of abuse and things like that, turn into the Minotaurs, and other people turn into the Theseuses. And it wasn't that the Minotaur was ever evil, but he was a monster that was locked away too. And I mean, if you were locked in a maze, probably a starving creature, and people walk in, you probably eat them too, right? You're probably starving. It's bringing up like a lot of sympathy, which Cancer you're known for. So that's where there's a lot of wow, it just gave me a song. Just gave me a song for you, Cancer. Interesting song. By the way, I've started a new playlist here on this channel. If you go over to the playlist tab on this channel, there is a playlist now called Spirit Songs, and any songs that come up in my readings on this channel, I'm going to put them in that playlist so that you guys can reference them if you need them. So the song that came up was Gods and Monsters by Lana Del Rey. And in the first verse, the lines, they're very powerful. This song's kind of weird, but it's a very powerful song at the same time. In the first verse, it says, in the land of gods and monsters, I was an angel, living in the garden of evil, screwed up, scared, doing anything that I needed, shining like a fiery beacon. And that whole verse right there kind of nails the feeling of this. It's like, maybe to some I'm a monster, but I was doing anything that I needed to survive, to get by, and that shapes a whole different thing, right? I was an angel living in the garden of evil. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do. Beautiful, powerful message coming through here. Boy, this Two of Cups right now, it's been out and about for several of these readings. There's a lot of relationship energy coming through right now. Definitely too, because it's still kind of February, so we've had a lot of the Valentine's energy still kind of lingering. There's a lot of relationship stuff just kind of being reviewed in the collective right now. This Two of Cups has literally been out for several readings now, so this is definitely feeling like that relationship vibe, and especially based off of all the sympathy and everything I just was talking about. Like, there's relationships involved. This Two of Cups is very much about attractive forces too, the law of attraction type deal. Some people read into the law of attraction and feel like they attracted literally every single situation to them in their life. Now, depending on what level of spirituality you're in, some people, the answer would be yes, you did attract everything into your life. However, a more acceptable answer by most people is that in heaven, you designed this life before you came here, and you chose everything that you were going to experience for a reason. And some people, that's what I mean, like, either way, people don't like to hear that, because especially if they've had something terrible happen to them in their lives, they don't like to imagine that they would have chosen that for themselves, that they attracted that terrible situation to their life. And especially, we were talking about the devourer of youth, especially if you were an innocent child when something happened to you, then that is where I kind of draw a line, because as much as I fully believe that everything happens to us in our lives for a reason, to shape us into better people, there's always that question when something terrible happens to you, like, what would I have been like if this hadn't happened to me type deal. What, you know, like, it's just one of those things. And so there's a huge message here, Cancer, about like some hard understanding of that. Yes, hard experiences shape us into the people that we become, and therefore, to an extent, everything does happen for a reason, because you wouldn't be the person you are today if some things hadn't happened to you. Does that excuse the people that might have hurt you in your life, done things to you? No, absolutely not. And that's where I do just say, you know, there's a line to that reasoning. Nine of Swords, yeah. Something that certainly caused you anxiety and stress, keeping you up at night. It's something that like just brought you down to a whole nother level, right? Very intense and formidable. And this blue, for some reason, and it's not exactly the same at all, but it's like tying up really, really well with this Minotaur, and it's making this figure seem like this Minotaur right now. And so that's what I mean, like, this Minotaur feels like, I'm just gonna say it, like the abuser in this situation. Like, this energy made you just like drop down to your knees left and right because of like just whatever the situation was, and it caused trauma. It caused some trauma that still kind of haunts you a little bit. That's what it feels like, Cancer. And it just said it's got to stop. Yeah, it's got to stop. And that's what this Ten of Swords is about. And that's just a recognition that this has to end. This anxiety, because what it's really given me is like this person, there's definitely another person, is just talking about how this person right here is like a very dark figure that puts you in this position all the time, whether they even intentionally mean to do it or not. It's like that's where the trauma part's coming up. It's like they don't even have to be there type deal, right? It's the residual, it's the memory of stuff. And now coming back to this law of attraction thing, that's where it's saying like you might be attracting this anxiety and this fear to yourself by going over something about this figure. And so that's where it's like you need to definitely start out by staying in more positive energy. So even if it's not about another person, it's definitely about a more positive situation. So first and foremost, let's focus on things that make you feel good, Cancer. Attract better things to yourself. Focus on better things. Those things will attract to you. Because right now you might be attracting a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. And that's what needs to stop. That's why there's a conversation here about the law of attraction. You've got to recognize it. Said you got to wake up. Said you got to recognize when you are attracting negative things to you. Especially if you are remembering past relationships and experiences that did not treat you well. Maybe you are re-attracting that same energy back to you. And then you're kind of in this cycle of constantly going through this self-sacrifice, being offered up to a Minotaur, and having to start over from scratch again. And it just said that's bullshit. And your thing is the bull, and that's what I mean. Like not just the Minotaur, the bull. The bull is the energy here. And look at that. Okay, that's the other thing it just brought to me with this card. It was saying, like, if we just look at the image, it's a Minotaur. But that is not what this card is. This card is the bull. The bull. The bull energy is here to tell you that that cycle right there is bullshit. Cancer, I love that. I've never had a reading like that come through on one of these animal cards. Like, this bull spirit right here is for real with you. And bulls are very headstrong, stubborn, right? And they will charge. And that's the whole thing, is like, you don't mess with a bull. Like, rodeo people will tell you, like, you don't mess with the bull, right? He can get real mean. And but the bull is different from a Minotaur. A Minotaur is something that in the old world is almost, in a sense, like an abomination, right? It's a hybrid creature. And as much as there is some sympathy undertones in here, there's an energy here telling you too, Cancer, that you got to wake up and realize that there needs to be a line drawn with your sympathy too. As much as other people, I was saying this tonight in a conversation, people can change and will get out of situations that don't serve them if they make the choices and follow through to do the things that get them into a better place. People who choose to continuously put themselves into the same cycles with the same energy, with the same kind of people and the same things over and over and over again, are not recognizing their patterns and cycles. And therefore they are re-attracting the same types of relationships over and over and over again. And going through this over and over and over again. And your ancestors are tired of that for sure. And that's why it was like, period. So the bull energy is coming through a lot, which is telling me that you might have a Taurus hanging around. Like an energy spirit. A Taurus might be guiding you. Either as an ancestor that was a Taurus, or someone else in your life that is a Taurus might really be here to back you up right now and be like, baby, this whole cycle right here is bullshit. Go slay that Minotaur. You are not a sacrifice to the Minotaur. You are a hero, Theseus, that got dropped into the maze, and you're going to get yourself out. It also wants to say, though, that Theseus didn't win on his own. He had help. He had help from the princess that lived there that loved him very much. And there's some of that energy here too. And that's why I'm saying there might be a Taurus or somebody very much with that bull energy backing you up right now. And they're here to help you recognize this cycle and get out of that maze. Because this is what it feels like. The maze with the Minotaur. And that's what's coming through on this full moon. And so I think you're just going to get to recognize some cycles that you're going through, Cancer. I think that's what this full moon is about for you, is recognizing some cycles that you've been going through, knowing that you need to change. Maybe you need to reach out for some help, have someone back you up to get you out of a situation or whatever. And Spirit's letting you know that that's here for you. So definitely call on that bull energy to help guide you. That's what I got for you. Let me know how that resonates for you, Cancer. Please take care of yourself, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.